Welcome to the Nonsense Wars production, where we review the Cybermaster's second feature model, the questionably named truck. The word suggests something that carries goods, but the truck is actually a tracked vehicle with a set of interchangeable attachments, a claw, fork, or blade, much more akin to a small construction vehicle. Like the Crusher and the Stinger, the truck has an entire dedicated module in the Cybermaster app. The truck has its fair share of weird building techniques, but the quirks in the construction and instruction are similar to those found in the other models. In some places, you have to bend parts slightly to get them onto other parts. In other places, you do several things in one big step, which would definitely be more small steps in physical instructions. In some other places, LEGO rotates obscured parts in lieu of a callout such that you can more easily identify them. Let's take a moment to look at these wheels, another part unique to this set. These serve as targets on the Crusher and Stinger and as tread wheels on the truck, but can also function as gears in certain geometries. The small teeth actually mesh with a tiny rack within the treads, an easy to miss feature, though perhaps a necessary one given the general looseness of the treads. I also want to demonstrate the use of flex cable. LEGO used the flex system in quite a few sets in the 80s and 90s, and I wish there was a modern equivalent, as they still have a number of mechanical and aesthetic uses. Perhaps LEGO found the cables themselves or the clips at the ends too fragile and fiddly, but you honestly need to bend the cables and clips quite a lot in order to break them. The 3 truck attachments all work the same way. They connect to the truck through a fixed mounting point and a moving lifting point. The claw uses the aforementioned flex cable to create an under-actuated mechanism. It will grip a tire and then lift it once it can't close further. The fork uses a 4-bar linkage to raise the special Cybermaster crates using the holes in the sides. With the mechanism at its lowest position, the ball pins at the ends of the forks seem slightly too tall to reliably fit in said holes. We had better luck replacing them with 3/4 pins, but perhaps only because we operated the truck on carpet. The blade simply creates a surface with which the truck can push things. It can still raise so that it does not drag on the ground. All of the attachments have a touch sensor such that the hub can identify them. In the case of the claw and the fork, the sensor can also trigger the action. The special Cybermaster crates are also part of the build and have their own instructions. These click together with some plastic tabs. The joints fit together snugly, but can still come back apart with some coercion. For the sake of the tabs and also the creases in the bottom corners, I would not want to snap and pop the joints more than a couple times. Manually operating the truck is like manually operating any of the other models. You can move it around using the arrow keys and operate the attachment using Control and Alt. Unlike the other models, you get this heavily overstyled control panel with some moderately useful indicators for the current attachment and the questionably accurate battery and reception levels. There are also total and trip odometers and tiny gauges showing, quote, speed and revs, but the latter two are basically the same thing. You can also drive the truck with a joystick. You might have been able to do so with other models, but the app specifically called it out for the truck, so only then did we give it a try. We used an old Logitech gamepad, which, for better or worse, neither required or allowed any configuration in the app. The speed control was pretty good, but something in the software stack gave the analog stick no dead zone in the middle of the travel, and we had a hard time getting the truck to just stand still. Nonetheless, we found the programmable side of the truck more interesting and quite impressive. The last step of the truck build calibrates the vehicle to account for the roughness of the operating surface. You place a brick in front of the truck, and the software attempts to rotate the vehicle exactly 360 degrees. If it rotates too much or too little, you can indicate the relative location of the brick and repeat the calibration until it's perfect. A wonderfully intuitive and surprisingly accurate process. Subsequently, you program the truck using a grid consisting of 30 by 30 centimeter squares. In the grid, you can place a variety of objects representing the real obstacles in your room or the fake obstacles in your imagination, in a manner very reminiscent of the Lego Loco postcard maker. You can then mark a path through your virtual environment and theoretically drive the truck through your physical environment with no interaction. The path following accuracy definitely impressed us. Here we plotted a path in our virtual space, measured it out in our physical space, and observed that the truck drove quite close to our theoretical red waypoints. We traced one of the actual routes with blue waypoints and observed that the truck subsequently followed that route accurately and consistently, assuming good initial placement. Furthermore, you can place a variety of actions along the virtual path. These range from raising and lowering the various attachments, waiting for a touch before raising and lowering said attachments, and even requesting a tool change, something you have to do physically, though the truck can confirm that you installed the right thing. In this short example, the program requests a crate at the first corner, drops it off to the side of the second corner. Dropping it off to the side is a single action before driving back toward the starting point. In this slightly longer example, the truck picks up a tire without waiting for a touch, drops it off to the side in the middle of the route, and raises the claw before continuing to the end. Given how straight the truck can drive with the appropriate calibration, I wish that LEGO could have calibrated the manual modes of this and the other models as well. Still, the automated, augmented reality driving is probably the most impressive technological Technic feat we have seen from all the official sets featured on this channel. Finally, and tangentially, the app contains a virtual catalog with some interesting content. Just like the physical catalog that came with the set, the virtual one contains a very diverse mix of more classic looking and more modern looking Technic sets, though the latter all have that very transitional look as Technic moved to studless construction. Each set has a short, low-res video showing its various features, and on top of that, the catalog contains a handful of weirder, more general promotional videos, which we watched with intense curiosity. On that note, this is the end of the video, so have a nice day.